Welcome to the Russ Joy Show. Why are we so excited today? The Flyers can clinch a playoff berth with a win tonight or tomorrow night. The Flyers can clinch a playoff berth with a win tonight or Tuesday night. The Flyers can clinch a playoff berth with a win tonight or Tuesday night. 2 points. All you need. 1 win or 2 loser points, preferably 1 win. Get it done against Carolina and let us all take a freaking exhale. It has been over 7 years. 7 years since the Flyers have hosted a playoff game in their home arena in front of fans. 7 years. And we are this close to that drought finally ending. We are this close to playoff hockey happening in this city. We're this close. We are unfathomably close. This close to having playoff hockey in Philadelphia. And we're also this close to being able to clown Ford for saying the Flyers wouldn't make the playoffs. We're this close. So close. Welcome in. I will tell you, today's been a day. Okay? Hasn't been a bad day. It's been an okay day. I did about a 2-mile walk this morning. It was good. Good for the heart, good for the soul. I will also tell you, for better or worse, that I spilled coffee on my keyboard this morning, which led to our delay today. I had to clean out this beautiful keyboard here. I went to move my mic over. I was on a call, and I went to move my mic, and I knocked over the very rarely used, Starbucks like Christmas cup, right? Because I made my espresso, and I went for a walk around the neighborhood. And I knocked it over, and it spilled all over my keyboard. And I said to myself, I'm not going to let this define my day. I said, I'm not going to let this be a harbinger of bad things. I'm not going to let this ruin my mood. That's the kind of mentality we all have to have today. So each and every time that somebody says to you today, yeah, but what if they lose? Or somebody says to you, yeah, but what if they lose both games? Or somebody says, yeah, but what if they only get 1 point? You are going to, as a Flyers fan, turn around, look at that person and say, here, I'll zoom in so you know exactly what this should look like. When that happens, if a person shows up and they say to you, hey, what if, let's role play this one. Here we go. There's my face.
Yeah, but what happens if the Flyers lose tonight?
Not today, Satan!
What if the Flyers lose tonight and on Tuesday night?
Not today, Satan!
What if the Flyers only end up with 1 point?
Not today, Satan! Not today. Not tomorrow. Not any day. Now, I don't remember. At Easter Mass, they do the whole, do you renounce Satan? Do you renounce this? Do you renounce that? All bad things. I know we didn't say it in church, but do I renounce any negativity around a playoff stretch? Yes, I do. I do renounce it. I'll tell you what I don't renounce. I don't renounce the lovely feelings that we could all have from some playoff games in Philadelphia. All right, let me fix the camera. Hold on. Bloop, 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 bloop. Bloop, 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 bloop. There we go. That's pretty good. We'll stay there. Somewhere like that. There we go. Good job, Russ. Good job. Little remote controlling of the camera. Anyway, renounce it. Okay? Oh, I love this. Carl Bradley over on YouTube. Sirio Farrell says to Arya Stark, and what do we say to the god of death?
Not today.
Not today. Good call. Good call, Carl. Good call. All right. Now listen, I am going to get to the comments in a little bit, but I mean this in the best possible way. I'm not living in negativity. Make no mistake about it. Carolina's not going to roll over for you tonight. And make no mistake about it, Montreal's not going to roll over for you on Tuesday night. And we do have to have a very brief conversation because you know damn well, and I know damn well, that there are going to be people who are going to get themselves all worked up about it. And I did have, I think I'm going back on the radio tomorrow, going to make an appearance on at least one radio show tomorrow. And I was going back and forth with one of the hosts, and I said, listen, here's one little bit of context that you might not be totally aware of that you might want to cover today. There are going to be people who are going to openly question whether or not the NHL will work their damnedest to rig this thing so the Flyers lose both games and the Capitals get the third spot in the Metro because Alex Ovechkin won't commit to retiring, which means that in theory, the Caps getting in would mean that Crosby versus Ovechkin could happen for the final time in the playoffs. There are going to be people worked up about it. If there's bad officiating tonight, regardless of outcome, there are going to be people saying, oh shit, the NHL's trying to rig this so we get Ovechkin versus Crosby in the first round. I'm not living in that world. I'm not doing it. I refuse to. I'm not living in that negative world. The Flyers hold their destiny in their hands. They have the one thing that every team wants to have with 2 games remaining in the regular season. They want to have the ability to control their own destiny. Get 2 points. I don't care how you get them, although I'd much rather you just get the 2 tonight. Get your 2 points against Carolina. Make tomorrow a funsies game and get ready for the playoffs. You pick up a loser point tonight, I can live with it. I'm not going to love it, but I can live with it. I mean, remember, there's only one outcome here that is bad for the Flyers. The only bad outcome that could happen is you lose both games in regulation, then you're out. You're effectively out. The Capitals are the only ones to really worry about at this point. You pick up a loser point tonight, you're keeping the door open. The Capitals play their final game of the regular season on Tuesday night in Columbus against the Blue Jackets. So if you're the Flyers, you know what the task at hand is. Get the job done against Carolina, get it done against Montreal. Win both games and you feel great. Get 3 out of 4 points, you feel awesome. I just saw that a super chat came through, so I'm going to pop this up here real quick. GJG 5087 says, Phillies suck. Embiid is never healthy. I demand a Flyers-only pod. You're going to get a lot of Flyers today and tomorrow. And unless they puke all over themselves, Wednesday. And unless they really puked all over themselves, Friday. So don't worry. And I did, just for the record, in case you missed it today. Hopefully you didn't, but maybe you did. And if you did, it's okay. You're human. Everybody's human. I threw this out on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. It is a loaded week. If you are looking for hockey talk, Joy Media's got you covered, my friends. Oh, yeah. We got you covered in a big old way. Here's the schedule for the week. Right now, we are rock and rolling on the Russ Joy Show. Tonight at 6:30, the Press Row Show at Xfinity Mobile Arena. Myself, Ant, Bundy, intern Andrew. We hope that the Flyers will get the job done tonight. And if they don't, well, then they have Tuesday. Tuesday night, 6:30 p.m., Press Row Show, Flyers Canadiens. You join us, same crew, same place. Go through the glass doors at section 121, take the elevator all the way to the balcony. Come say hi. Regardless of what happens over the next 2 nights, I'm back Wednesday morning at 10 a.m. And we will hopefully be previewing a series against the Penguins for this weekend. And again, regardless of how Monday, Tuesday go, Snow the Goalie Radio, Chickies and Pete's, 6 o'clock, Wednesday night, Warrington, Pennsylvania. So if you're in that Abington, Hatboro, Horsham, Upper Moreland, I don't know if Lower Moreland's over there, but if it is, we'll throw them in too. Pretty much like if you get off at exit like 343 on the turnpike, somewhere around there, yeah, you come out to the show. Right. Okay, cool. Doylestown, you want to come on out? Come on out. Let's talk some puck Wednesday night. And then, listen, God had to rest, right? God had to rest at some point. Created the earth and all the animals and all the wonderful stuff. And at one point he had to rest. And I'm not saying that I'm God. I am not God. But I will rest on Thursday. Unless I bring back the wrestling show. I don't think I will. It is WrestleMania week. I don't think I'm going to. But then again, Dynasty was a good show last night. I don't think I'm going to. Friday, back here for the Russ Joy Show. So there is a lot of hockey talk happening this week. We got you covered. And by the way, if you're a Phillies fan, Phightin Words is dropping a new episode. They're doing it right now. Now, is it counterintuitive to drop the baseball show at the same time as the flagship show of Joy? Maybe. Probably. Did I tell Sanfilippo that? I did. Does he understand things? No, he doesn't. I didn't know you were doing the show at 10 o'clock. Been doing it for weeks now. It's fine. Doesn't matter. You can go check that out after this. That'll also be available wherever you get your podcasts. Okay, I'm done now. We've done enough running around. We'll go out to the comments. And then we'll dive into, there's some other news. And listen, while the Flyers are trying to get 2 points against either Carolina or Montreal or across the 2 games, there are also other exciting things happening around the Flyers and their prospect pool, and some of it is very, very intriguing. We're going to talk about all of it, and if I forget, if I go to change sports later and I don't get to it, remind me. We have an update on Jack Nesbitt, we have an update on Jack Berglund, and we have an update on David Jiricek. 3 guys that we got to talk about at some point today. Okay, let's go into the comments. Chris Reed over on YouTube. Al Bundy turned 80 yesterday. The man who once scored 4 touchdowns in high school could have been an Eagle in the summer of 69, but he said, nah, I'm good. I'd rather retire. The Birds went 4-9-1 that year. Nick Abe's here. Russ, baby. Russ, baby. Can we do a Dickie Vitale? Hey, Russ, baby. How we doing? We love the Flyers, baby. We love the Flyers. Come on, baby. Andrew Fawcett, checking in from Texas. How's everybody feeling in Flyers land this morning? I think people are feeling good. Shane is here, says, let's effing go! Yes. All right, Fawcett says, Flyers Daily was talking about Martone this morning. Perry, LeClaire, and Neely were some of the names they brought up. I think Perry is accurate. Perry's the one that has been brought up the most. Listen, to make the jump to LeClaire is going to take a lot. It'll take a lot of bulking up. The early returns on Martone have been great. But again, let's not overdo the hype and put this kid in a spot where he can't win, right? Don't overhype the kid. He's been fantastic. I think Martone is a stud. I said all year, when he gets up here, I think he's going to be a stud. He looks like a stud. Let's make sure we don't overvalue the guy and we don't set unrealistic expectations on the kid, okay? Okay. Miller Brad says, take 2 points tonight and let's get this done, boys. Ford's here talking about the Sixers. We can talk about them later. We could. Let's see. Carl Bradley says, I'd feel better if we hadn't lost 9 of the last 10 against the Canes, but I'm pumped. Well, you should be pumped. We're all pumped. Tonight's going to be rough, but we're going to try. That crowd tonight should be raucous. And I will also point out to you, in case you missed it, for some reason the Flyers decided that Tuesday night, the final regular season game, is going to be an orange out. They should make both games an orange out. You're showing up to the Carolina game tonight? Wear orange. You're showing up to the Montreal game tomorrow? Wear orange. Now, do I think the Flyers should be doing a shirt giveaway that is orange? Probably. How much does it really cost? Really. To do an orange shirt giveaway for the final 2 nights of the regular season, to make that place jumping. Get an orange wave going. Make it look like the Kool-Aid man is going to come riding in. I know he's red, but, red and yellow together make orange. So find some yellow, dump it in the Kool-Aid man's head. I actually have a question about the Kool-Aid man before we continue. The Kool-Aid man is a pitcher, but he smashes through walls. He's clearly not glass, but he's translucent. And so, plastic? Plastic can't go through brick. What exactly is he made out of? Bulletproof glass? Am I to believe that the Kool-Aid man who's marketed towards children is made out of bulletproof glass? What's he made out of? And if the Kool-Aid man loses some of the Kool-Aid from inside his Kool-Aid head, then what happens? Does his personality go? Is it like he's losing brain cells? Does he stop functioning? If he gets empty, what happens? Is he just an empty vessel? Is that the equivalence of brain dead? I need to know. I need to know about the Kool-Aid man. I don't know. Carl Bradley says transparent aluminum. Thanks, Scotty. Wait, is this a real thing? What Gimzak says transparent aluminum. What the hell is it? Is this like a real thing? What is that? What's transparent aluminum? Is the Scotty thing is that a Star Trek thing? I don't know. WAJ says clearly plexiglass. So I don't know. Oh, I was right. So it was. The Scotties would give it away. Okay, so it's a Star Trek thing. Okay. I'm sorry to all the Star Trek people. I don't fully get Star Trek. It's not that I don't like it. I don't get it. I never really followed it. Okay. Let's see. MJ Bruno is here. Says Martone, Michkov, Forster thriving with the big club. Knubel and Berglund both scoring in the Phantom shootout win. Jiricek just called up. And Nesbitt heading to Michigan. The kids are all right. We're going to talk about all those developments in a little bit. Let's see. Ford and I, we agree here. Says Ant San should do a show before or after us, not the same time. Outsmart. Some are saying. Many are saying. I don't see Tony Escargot yet, but there's got to be cannoli going somewhere. Somebody's got to be getting the cannoli going. Let's see. MJ Bruno on the Sixers. Stoked to watch Andre Drummond and Trenton Wofford. Good God. All right, let's see. Hexram says, let's ride. Yes, let's ride indeed. Bondarenko's here with a morning all. Good Lord, I can hear Russ without my hearing aids. Joseph DeAngelis asks, 1 win away. Why am I so worried? Or why am I worried so much? Because it's been forever. See, here's the thing, and Milo's right. Gonna throw up. Yes. Like, here's why it matters, okay? And here's why people are so worked up. It's been an unfathomable amount of time since the Flyers have been in the playoffs. And I think it's once you realize just how crazy of a time it's been, and just when you realize, like, we took for granted, and I hate saying it like this, but it is true. We took for granted what it was like to have a team that was always in the playoffs. And not just in the playoffs, but a legitimate cup contender year after year after year. Now, granted, most of that happened pre-salary cap era. But, like, if you were a fan in the 90s and the early 2000s, like, you got treated to a lot of really good hockey. You got treated to a lot of really good hockey teams. And, you know, we're going to give a shout out here to Flyers Nation for putting the math together because we all know the math ain't my thing. It's been 2,913 days. That's 7 years, 11 months, and 22 days since the Flyers hosted a playoff game in front of fans at home. Let me say that back to you. It's been
84 years
since the Flyers hosted a playoff game in front of fans at home. Unfathomable, right? If you had told a fan from the 90s or the 2000s that you would go nearly 8 years without a home playoff game, the people would have lost their mind. They wouldn't believe you. They wouldn't believe you. And I keep coming back to this, but this is the most consequential stretch that the Flyers have had in a decade. I think easily in a decade. If you want to live in fantasy land, which you are more than welcome to, if you want to think back to the Kevin Hayes Flyers that were on track to be the top team in the Eastern Conference before COVID shut the world down, if you want to live in that world, which you are more than welcome to, I think you're insane, but if you want to, you can. But I will note, I didn't feel about that team the way that I do about this one because that team felt fake. That team didn't have an upward trajectory led by a youth movement. That felt like a team that was kind of on their last legs as a core and as a group. And then what exactly did you have to look forward to? Well, Konechny was playing. That was a thing. And Sanheim was here, and that was a thing. Couturier was here, younger. That was a thing. But, like, what did you get to look forward to? Kevin Hayes? Kevin Hayes played. Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, okay. This is the most consequential stretch this team has had in a decade. And I know that a lot of people they've been trying to make the parallel to 2010 because 2010, you had the shootout on the last day of the regular season, and that propelled you to a Stanley Cup final run. And really, had they gotten even adequate goaltending in the Stanley Cup final, there's a good chance that they beat Chicago. There is, like a pretty decent chance they beat Chicago. This team feels different. Now, this team to me doesn't remind me of 2010. The down to the wire, down to the final couple of days, yes, that is a very clear parallel. But this team, regardless of what happens, but preferably getting into the playoffs, this team you look at and you say, the average age of the top three lines, I think, is just under 25 years old. Christian Dvorak is the only dude right now in the top three lines who's age 30 or older. You can look at that and say, this is a damn impressive group. And when we talk about youth, there's a lot of truth to it. And we've seen meaningful contributions out of Forster. We've had moments where Tippett has looked like a totally different guy. Martone and Michkov and Bump and Barkey. These dudes are all playing at a solid level. Now, I do think that You're going to probably see Barkey and Bump interchange depending on the matchup, right? I wonder what happens when Grebenkin comes back. Does he get in the lineup, especially as they try to make this playoff run? Does Tocchet fiddle with that fourth line, or does he rock and roll with what's gotten him to the dance over the last few weeks? There's been a couple of tweaks there, but is that what he's going to roll with? I will tell you this. For as critical as I have been throughout the season of Tocchet's handling of Michkov and Tocchet's kind of self-inflicted, unforced error comments, he's got these guys buzzing, and he's got these guys playing at a level that nobody thought they could. And I know a lot of that is kind of built on the back of Dan Vladar. But you got to give Rick Tocchet a lot of credit and his coaching staff a lot of credit. They have these guys ready, game in and game out. And I was reading an anecdote that came from a Kevin Kerr story, and it was about Sean Couturier kind of accepting this fourth-line role that he's found himself in. And apparently after the overtime win against Boston, Tocchet got out of the way. I mean, we saw the video of Tocchet talking to the guys the game that Martone was up in the box. We didn't see the post-game from the coach at all after the Boston OT win where Martone scored the game winner. Well, in Kurtz's story, he said that Tocchet apparently was like, I don't need to talk to you guys. The captain does. And apparently Couturier has been more vocal in recent weeks. That's a big deal for one kind of simple reason. If you've ever met Sean Couturier, which I would assume many of you have not, unless maybe you've been at season ticket holder events or at the carnival or whatever, Couturier is a relatively quiet dude, very to himself, soft-spoken. If you've checked out the interview that we did with him over on Snow the Goalie last season, you get the feeling this guy isn't exactly a screamer, right? This guy isn't lighting himself on fire in the middle of the locker room. The fact that he has somehow gotten himself locked in mentally to being this fourth-line guy who's playing a different style game, who has thrived in a lot of ways on that fourth line, and then has become a more vocal leader in that locker room is such a good thing. There are captains who would be insulted to the max to be playing fourth-line minutes or to be playing on the fourth line and would let that negativity infect the locker room, would create a chasm in the locker room. Say what you want. Say what you want about what Couturier has been post-back surgeries. You want to poo-poo his play? You can poo-poo his play. The human being is a good dude. The guy as a leader in that locker room is a good dude. And I think he's kind of set the right example. He's set the right example for these young guys as they come into the locker room. And when you see a Martone score, when you see a Forster score, when you see a Bump or a Barkey make a big play, one of the first guys into that fracas is Sean Couturier. That's a guy who's in it to win it and is in it for anyone and everyone who finds success to get recognized for the success that they are contributing to the team. So I have to tell you that while I try to remain as objective as I can about any player, yada, 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 there is a part of me that feels really good for Sean Couturier, the human being, because I don't think we're ever going to get Selke caliber Sean Couturier again. But if this dude is going to be this player on the fourth line and be the leader that locker room needs, and the leader that has helped get this locker room to a point that they believed in themselves starting a few weeks ago to make this improbable playoff run, yeah, I feel good for the dude. I do. And I would imagine that at some point there may be an apology tour from some people who have been poo-pooing the man all year. All right, back to the comments. Let's see. Tom Farrell asks, do you start Darth Vladar tonight? I'm honestly very worried. I don't know what the right thing to do is. So you're in a must-win, sort of. You need at least 1 point. I play Vladar tonight, and I'm going to tell you why. One, I love the idea of trying to go for the win, and potentially, tomorrow is a day that's just kind of like a tune-up. You get Erson in there, no stakes, just let him go out and play his game. The other part of this is I would very, very much like to see the Flyers at least get the loser point. To me, the number one task tonight is get at least 1 point. The win is what you want, but getting a loser point at least makes it mathematically possible that you could still get in. And that tomorrow's result, yes, it matters, but it doesn't matter quite as much. I would not put Ersson in net tonight, run the risk of losing in regulation, and then having the entire season come down to Tuesday night. That's me. I could be wrong. If Vladar is feeling good physically, and he had the day off yesterday, right? There was no game yesterday. If he's feeling fine, footloose and fancy free, I'm putting Vladar in net tonight. I don't think they've made a call yet. I haven't seen any of the beat guys or gals put out who's starting in net tonight. But that's probably where I would go. I think. Maybe I'm wrong. Amadeo trying to spoil things for tonight. He made a special video. If the Flyers win or qualify for the playoffs, we have something very cool that we're going to play over on Snow the Goalie. And if this all goes to shit over the next 2 nights, well, then we blame Amadeo for jinxing it. So good job, Amadeo. Now you're in the crosshairs of the Flyers fans. Let's see. Josh White says, so excited to duct tape my Ryan Ellis jersey and make it a Martone jersey. Let's go Flyers. See, that's the kind of positivity we need. That is the positivity. I have no idea why this happened, but Cryptic Cowboy calls Katy Perry a reptilian. Okay. Sure. I saw somebody complaining about Justin Trudeau drinking out of a plastic cup at Coachella or something. And they're like, this dude outlawed plastic cups, and there he is drinking out of it. Surprise, surprise. A politician is a hypocrite. What? What? Are you kidding me? What? Okay. CMZ pre-ordered playoff tickets, $680 for 2. Where the hell are you sitting? You sitting on the ice? Good God. LPZMIJA asks, what's your take on Flyers fans supposedly gatekeeping on a certain Philly sports radio show? I'll tell you how I feel. Because I've seen Hugh Douglas putting this out. I think Hugh Douglas is a good guy. Like, is a good radio host. I have no problem. You have to remember, I'm like very torn, right? Because there are people on the radio that I think are really good at what they do. And then there are people on the radio that I don't think are very good at what they do. I think that Giglio and Hugh Douglas do an entertaining show. It's not one that I listen to every day. Admittedly, I don't listen to a lot of sports talk radio because I find most of it to be useless. And also, I don't want a sports talk radio host to influence how I feel about the team, any of the teams, right? So I consume a lot of their content through their short form stuff, which is clearly what they think needs to be their front-facing stuff and the promotional material for their show. How do I feel about the gatekeeping? I think it's bullshit. But I will say this, and this is the one place that I will potentially deal with the blowback from some of these people. I don't think that it is unfair of Flyers fans to be critical of radio hosts that have made fun of them and their team for years. I don't think that's fair. The Flyers have not been a cup contender. They have not been a strong playoff contender, and I get it. But let's not act as though every team in Philadelphia has lived up to the hype over the past 5 or so seasons. Let's not act like the Sixers have somehow become a legitimate NBA Finals contender year after year. We know they're not because Joel Embiid can't stay healthy. And up until we saw post-suspension Paul George, that looked like an albatross. And before that, you had Tobias fucking Harris. So, save me this notion that the Flyers fans are okay to make fun of and the team is okay to make fun of because, well, they weren't really that good. The Sixers were kind of fake good. And I love the Sixers, but we got to be honest. The Phillies get plenty of attention. And I've been saying year after year, you're kind of running it back, you're kind of running it back, you're kind of running it back. I don't know why you're expecting different results in the start of the season. I mean, folks, where's the lie? It's not been great. We watched the Eagles be full of offensive ineptitude with Kevin Patullo. And a couple of years ago with another offensive coordinator that was an internal hire. But we were still talking about the Eagles because the NFL is king. But let's not act as though the Eagles were infallible in either of those seasons. The gatekeeping isn't about radio hosts talking about the Flyers. The gatekeeping is the Flyers fans who sit back and say, hey, we deserve to have our team be talked about in some way, shape, or form. But most importantly, we don't deserve to be mocked for liking hockey or mocked for having loyalty and supporting our team. That's what's unfair. The radio hosts who are now going out of their way to bemoan the blowback and the pushback they've gotten, ask themselves the same, just ask yourself the question if you're one of those guys. Did I mock Flyers fans for being Flyers fans? Did I mock the sport of hockey? Did I mock the notion of talking about the team? And if you did, well, then you were in the wrong. It's not a great look. Because then, flipping on a dime about a week ago, because the team started having a chance to make the playoffs, and that's the first time you've really talked about the team all season, it's not exactly fair. I mean, again, January was an anomaly at this point. The Flyers were a competitive team all the way through December. They were competitive in February, even though the Olympic break took place, but they were competitive in February and in March. So let's not act like this just came out of nowhere. This incredible hot streak did, but it's unfair to ridicule a fan base in your own city while the other team playing in town at the same time is very much on a crash course with a play-in and maybe not even getting a first-round series, or if they do, maybe getting boat raced by the Celtics. You're fine to talk about them, but not the team that's been competitive all year. Okay. The team that has a young core, like a lot of young guys, contributing in a meaningful way. Okay. Don't act surprised when those fans come back at you and tell you you're a jackass. Don't be surprised. Show a little bit of respect to those people. They'll listen to your show and they'll support you. It's not complicated. I don't think it's complicated. And here I'll go one step further. Friend of the show, John Marks, has been on here a few times. I went on with Marks and Brace last week. What will John Marks tell you? Didn't keep up with the Flyers this year. Or doesn't watch every game that the Flyers play. So what does he do as the Flyers are preparing for this playoff run? He goes out and he gets a jamoke like me to go on and talk to the people who may not be familiar with this show or Snow the Goalie, or maybe are trying to get into the Flyers here a little bit. And he's not faking the discussion. He's bringing somebody on who's been around and keeping up with this team to explain to the people, this is what's going on. It's not complicated. See, he's at least being honest about it. You know for a fact, if you're a Flyers fan and you've listened to some of the shit that's been on the radio from some of the other hosts in this town, you will know damn well which ones are faking it and which ones aren't. The one thing that I will give the WIP hosts a little bit of grace on is they're not the flagship station. They're not. They're not the flagship station. The people that I probably put a lot of this at the feet of are the ones who do host shows on The Fanatic and have not been keeping up with this team and can't speak on this team with any level of competence or any level of authority because they haven't kept up with it. If your station is the flagship station, if they have the rights to those games, you should know what the hell you're talking about. Just a thought. Okay, that's where I'm at right now on the radio and the gatekeeping. So, and I see people checking in here, you know. Nick Abe says WIP is just rage bait. Ford says Kincaid and Salchunas. But see, like I don't listen to their show. Like this is where it gets tricky. Like I don't enjoy John Kincaid. I don't enjoy him. I don't enjoy him on Twitter. I find him to be off-putting as a radio host. I think that Salchunas would probably do better on his own or with somebody else, is my guess. Salchunas seems like a good dude. I don't know. Here's the problem, though. Again, if you're a radio host and you haven't been keeping up with the team, bring people on who have been. Let them be the expert witness, right? If we're doing a court case, let them be the expert witness. Let them get the message out. And in the meantime, you do your due diligence so that when the team potentially makes the playoffs, you don't sound like a jackass as you prepare for Flyers Penguins first round series. That's just a thought. Okay. All right. All right. I know that there was a whole bunch of other stuff. I'm going to try to jump around real quick in the comments because we got to, you know what? I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings out there because I know that there are a bunch of people like Jacob here who says, haven't been down there all year, but I will be there tonight. Going to be good. Come find us. Go through the glass door, section 121, take the elevator all the way to the top to the balcony. Come say hi. I don't want to skip anybody here, but I do have to kind of jump around. So I don't know who Billy Morrison was talking about here, but he's a good guy. Why you have to be mad? Anyway. All right, let's who's the liberal? Is Michael, are you calling me a liberal? How do I somehow get called a liberal and a MAGA guy? Like within the span of a week and a half. How does that happen all the time? What have I done wrong in my life? Why am I getting classified in either of these camps? Can't I just hate everybody together? Am I not allowed to just hate everybody together? Now, I will get to Shane's question here and what Unholy Hairdo said afterwards about Jiricek. Do you anticipate David Jiricek will get or make a significant impact in the call-up? The short answer is no. However, there's a caveat. I don't know why Jiricek was brought up. I don't know if they plan to have him in the lineup or not. And first things first, I'm going to pull up while we're talking about it. We're going to give a tip of the cap to Jordan Hall, who's down at practice, right? And we'll have the footage of David Jiricek going. Because again, Jordan Hall, great guy. We'll give him the shout. Here's the issue that I think you maybe run into if you're the Flyers, right? I look at this and I say, it would be an awesome thing to have Jiricek come in, play third pair minutes, and also help the power play. If it were me, I see no way that David Jiricek hurts your power play. Your power play is dog shit. If it were me, I would put Jiricek in. I like Emil Andre a lot. I do. And I think Emil Andre is an NHL defenseman. But if my options were Emil Andre or give Jiricek 2 games here, preferably help get you into a playoff spot and have that dude bombing the puck from the blue line on the power play, I'd roll with that. I would. If it were me, I would get Jiricek in the lineup, either against Carolina or Montreal or both. And I'd get him power play minutes, without a doubt. You saw what a difference it makes, and the power play still sucks, but you've seen what a difference it makes having Martone on the power play. I think it would really help, and Forster, I think it would really help to have Jiricek. I think he gives you something that you do not currently have among your defensemen when it comes to the power play. And I think that if he gets that opportunity, he was like around a point per game guy in Lehigh. And I get it. AHL doesn't always translate to NHL. I totally get it. He's had some struggles at the NHL level with both Minnesota and Columbus. I get it. But I think it's worth a shot. I don't think it can make things worse. Now, if your real concern is he going to get dog walked at even strength? Well, then that is a concern. So they've got to ultimately make the decision on whether or not they think it's going to be that good or that bad. So there you go. Let's see. Jacob also asked about the orange ad. I think they should be doing it both nights, but I think the team should be giving orange shirts away. I think if you go down to the game tonight, you should wear orange. I do. And I think tomorrow you should also wear orange if you're going to go. Let's see. Michael asks, is Berglund ELC next year? Yes. And the problem that they maybe run into there is if Berglund doesn't make the team, he could go to the AHL or they could loan him back to his Swedish team. They could do that next year. Now, one thing to note about Berglund, in case you missed it, he had a shootout goal to win the game for the Phantoms, which was a pretty cool moment for him. We knew that he was over here just for a few games, right, between now and the end of the season. And I don't actually remember where the Phantoms are at in the playoff hunt, but he got the win against Cleveland in the shootout. It was a really cool moment for him. He had a couple of plays in this game where he used his size. And if you live on Flyers Facebook groups, There's a dude in one of the groups who claims Jack Berglund is going to be a 40-goal scorer. I think that guy is probably on significant drugs. But in case he's not, and he's somehow seen the future, that'd be pretty nifty, a 40-goal scoring center. I mean, I don't know anybody who thinks that that's going to be the case. But again, Flyers Facebook groups are quite the place. There was somebody saying on Flyers Facebook, is David Jiricek going to just go right to the Flyers, or is he going to go to the Phantoms? He's been playing for the Phantoms. Where the hell have you been? Is Jack Berglund going straight to the Flyers? He literally scored the shootout winner for the Phantoms yesterday. Like, what are we doing? Okay. Nick Marcucci says, good morning, Russ. When would games 3 and 4 be coming from Calgary to watch? Been too long. Pumped. I don't know. I think we'll have a better idea. So, like, because the Flyers' final game is on the 14th, I think that they would play their first game on the 18th. So you'd go game 1 on the 18th, game 2 on the 20th. I think, right? Game 1, game 2, 20th. Then you probably take at least one day off. So I would assume it'd be the 22nd and the 24th would be my guess. I could be wrong. I have no clue. I am just throwing an idea out there. Let's see, anything else? Oh, I think there we go. We got a clarification on the liberal thing. It was about Justin Trudeau, not about me. All right, thank you. All right. Let's see if there's anything else that I wanted to go to out in the comments. Escargot. Russ, ladies and gentlemen, Tony Escargot has entered the chat. Thank God. It's good to see you, Tony. Hey, somebody do me a favor. Check and see if Phightin Words is over. I swear, if it turns out that Sam Filippo is Tony Escargot, I would be livid. Livid. I think it's not happening. It's not. Because actually, I do know something about Tony Escargot. I found something out about Tony Escargot. Russ knows something about Tony. And it ain't and Tony. No. The other good thing that I wanted to get to. So Jiricek got the call up. I don't know if he'll be in the lineup tonight or against Montreal. I would hope so. I think it'd be pretty cool. Help the power play. Berglund had the OT winner. But there was another really cool bit of info that came out last night. And it happened really late, so you might have missed it. But Jack Nesbitt is now rumored to be going to Michigan. So he'll be leaving his team next season, and he will be going to the University of Michigan. So he's going to be playing in the Big Ten, not going to Michigan State, the place where young Porter Martone was developed. He's going to go play at Michigan. But that's a huge development because Nesbitt has been playing really well in the playoffs so far. He's been playing really well over the last few games for his team. And the idea of him making the move to college, I think, is really helpful for him because whether or not it means he's going to spend, one season in college or two, it's totally fine. He's now scored 5 goals and has 3 assists in 6 playoff games for Windsor, which is cool. I think everybody's been kind of like keeping an eye, sort of, on what's happening elsewhere with some of these prospects. Berglund being with the Phantoms is cool. You get a very nice, easy visual. Easy to find that game. Easy to find those highlights. But Nesbitt having 5 goals in his last 6 games, all in the playoffs, is a pretty cool thing. Big players step up in big moments. I would like to believe Jack Nesbitt's going to be a player, but I don't know. All right, now last thing I want to get to. I got 2. And we have about 10 minutes to get to them, which means that now we get the thrice weekly Ford complaining that this was a largely Flyer show. Too bad, Ford. We got 2 things that we still have to get to. One is around the Sixers, and one is around the Phillies. And I have to tell you that, like, on one hand, I don't actually, it's almost like death by 1,000 cuts, right? I don't know. The Phillies, well, maybe we'll start with the Phillies, and we'll end on a positive with the Sixers, a positive, quote-unquote positive. So the Phillies have a lead in the series finale against the Diamondbacks, and you're feeling good about things, and you're feeling like, hey, maybe they're about to pull the nose up on this whole thing. And you're looking at Bryce Harper's stats through the weekend, and over his, I think his last 5 or so games is where things have really kind of turned for him. And you start saying, all right, maybe the sky isn't falling. Maybe people like Russ Joy, who complained on Friday about Harper's early production not being up to snuff, maybe Harper in his last 7 days, where he's had 10 hits and 19 at-bats, including 3 runs, scored he's got 4 doubles and a home run and 6 RBI. He's walked 6 times. He's only struck out once. You look at it and you go, yo, maybe Bryce Harper's starting to figure it out. And there were, I think, 5 consecutive extra base hits to chase Gallen out of the game on Sunday. And you're feeling really good about things. And then what happened? Jose Alvarado happened. I got to tell you, there may not be a more disastrous return than Jose Alvarado after his suspension last year. He wasn't great last year. He's been absolutely horrific this season. He's got a 12.6 ERA, a 2.4 whip. He may have a huge whip. He's got no nene. Atrocious. Like, genuinely bad. He's made an appearance in 8 games this season. He's allowed 7 earned runs, 8 runs overall. It's not going well. 7 earned runs in 5 total innings pitched. I don't know what Jose Alvarado's issue was last year, right? He made it sound like he went on a weight loss drug, didn't get it approved. He was trying to lose weight. He was self-conscious. Yo, I want Jose Alvarado to fatten the fuck up. All right? If this is supposed to be like the reformed and maybe slightly skinny Jose Alvarado, I want this dude to look like Bartolo Colon. I want him to look like CC Sabathia on like Diabetes Watch. And I don't know if CC Sabathia actually had diabetes. And if he did, we're not trying to be insensitive here. But if he didn't have it, I want him to look like Milwaukee Brewer CC Sabathia. I want big boy. That's what I want out of Jose Alvarado. I want Jose Alvarado to be so chubby on the mound that you're worried that when he follows through, that he might just roll down the mound and the baseball hits Real Muto's glove. And then about like 6 or 7 seconds later, he's rolling and he crosses home plate. Because that's when Jose Alvarado is going to be at his best. This version? Nay. Absolutely not. Jose Alvarado has been dog doo-doo. And it sucks because I went to bat for Jose Alvarado last year. And I thought of all the guys that would be probably a steady presence in this bullpen on this team that Dave Dombrowski built, I thought Alvarado would be okay. He hasn't been okay. I really hope he figures this thing out, especially because you move Strom. You need Alvarado to be better than this. So, there's your Phillies thing. By the way, I'm still not impressed at all. I know the Phillies had a lead. And like I said, I think it was 5 straight extra base hits that chased Gallen out of the game. I'm not impressed with this lineup. I'm not. And I felt like an absolute psycho yesterday because I'm looking at it top to bottom and I'm saying, as much as I'm annoyed by Bryce Harper, as much as I'm annoyed by his kind of like pouting and looking out of it and not looking thrilled to play baseball, look at who's hitting behind him. I know that Marsh has had a nice start to the season, but like Marsh is a platoon guy. He's hitting behind Harper. Stott had a really nice spring training, but Stott is hitting 5th. Garcia, your replacement for Castellanos, 0 for 4. Alec Boehm, remember him? The guy that you wanted to get rid of to make room for Bo Bichette or literally anyone with a pulse. Remember that guy? 0 for 3. Like, I get Harper's frustration. This is bullshit. This is not a well-constructed lineup. It's not. And I've gotten into it a few times with friend of the program, Anthony Sanfilippo, who tries to tell me it's still early and I'm overreacting. You ran it back again, with the exception of Castellanos gone, Garcia in, and now Bader from last year gone, and Crawford. And by the way, Crawford, I've been really impressed with. I have been. I think that Crawford, now granted, he's hitting last in the lineup, but I think Crawford is like giving you flashes here of being a legitimate contact hitter and a guy that like isn't going to hit for power at all, but you don't need him to. Just need a consistent on-base guy. I actually wonder if Crawford can replicate this for 2 months, 3 months. By the fall, are we looking at Crawford potentially hitting leadoff or being higher up in this lineup? Because you can't, I understand sometimes you want to have a guy hitting ninth in the lineup that can roll the order over and get Turner to the plate. But like Crawford's been good. He's been really good. I'm impressed. Everybody was like poo-pooing him because of his ground ball rate in the minors. It's working. It's working at the majors. We'll see if it continues to. But yeah. All right. That's the Phillies. Let's go to the Sixers to end things. It's not good. It's not good at all because the Sixers have one thing that they simply cannot do, and that is end up playing Boston. If the Sixers play Boston, they are boned. They are screwed. They are done. They are DED dead. There is no scenario where I would feel good about the Philadelphia 76ers playing against the Boston Celtics. And yet, because the Sixers have had rotating lineups of games where Joel Embiid is available and then not available and available and not available, and because Paul George got suspended for 25 games, the Sixers have found themselves in the play-in against the Magic. And here's the problem. I think they should lose. I do. I'm going to show you the playoff potential outcomes, okay? Here's where things are at. If the Sixers were to beat the Magic in the 7-8 game, they would go on to play a first-round series against the Boston Celtics, who would obliterate them. Like, if you thought that past playoff series between the Sixers and the Celtics have been uncomfortable, this would be like you need to put a TVMA warning in the top right corner. You would need to put like a parental advisory beforehand, before that series. Any highlights would need to be flagged on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and maybe even TikTok, one of those like sensitive content warnings, because the Celtics would eviscerate the Sixers. And so, as much as I hate to say it, you got to lose that game. You got to lose it bigly. Like, I might actually sit Tyrese Maxey and Paul George and VJ Edgecombe and say, go ahead. Hey, Orlando, you want Boston? You can have Boston. I would much rather lose to Orlando and run the risk of your final game of the season being a play-in against the winner of Hornets Heat. Because whoever wins that game goes on to play Detroit. And I think Detroit are a bunch of frauds. I'm not saying the Sixers without Embiid can beat Detroit, but I think that the Sixers have a much better chance of extending a series against Detroit than they do Boston. Boston has had your number forever. You are not beating the Celtics. Do I think they can make it a competitive-ish series against Detroit? Maybe. This is also assuming that Embiid is not going to play in the first round following an appendectomy. I mean, knowing his luck, that poor guy, if he tries to play, would probably have like internal hemorrhaging or something, and then would have to be rushed to the hospital and like have his like spleen and both of his kidneys removed or something. So we don't need that. But I would much rather play Detroit in the first round than have to watch the Sixers get embarrassed by the Celtics again. So lose to Orlando, win the other play-in, play Detroit. Your thoughts, 610-632. All right, time to go. Big thank you to everybody who joined me today. Don't forget, we've got Press Row Show tonight, 6:30 at Xfinity Mobile Arena ahead of Flyers Hurricanes. We're back down there Tuesday night, 6:30 for Flyers versus Canadians. You go through the section, the glass door, section 121, go up to the balcony, come talk some puck with the Snow the Goalie crew. Got the Press Row Show over there. I'll be back Wednesday morning here on the Russ Joy Show. Then 6 o'clock on Wednesday night, Chickies and Pete's in Warrington. We'll be doing Snow the Goalie Radio. You can come out, talk some puck there. Hopefully we're previewing a series against the Pittsburgh Penguins. And then I'm back here again on Friday with the Russ Joy Show. So until then, this has been the Russ Joy Show. I've been Russ Joy. You knew that already because you're smart. It's also the name of the show. Let's hope the Flyers get the job done tonight. For me, for you, for all of our mental health. Don't forget, like the video, share the video, subscribe, share the show. It helps. Find videos on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Give them a like. Give those accounts a follow. And find the show wherever you get your podcasts. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, Amazon Music, wherever you get your podcasts. All right. We're out of here. This has been the Russ Joy Show. I've been Russ Joy. You knew that already because you're smart. It's also the name of the show, and I think I already said it like about 45 seconds ago. Talk to all of you soon here on The Russ Joy Show. Bye now.